Welcome to the Geeky Grandma with an Encouraging Nudge podcast. Hi, my name is Jill McCarthy from Central New York State, and this is our 48th podcast. This morning we have a gal from the UK. Her name is Rosanne Nieboer. I'm going to read her bio and then we'll get to meet her. Rosanne has been teaching yoga for over 20 years and has incorporated the wisdom of the chakras to her practice and teaching. She has been publishing guided meditations on her podcast, the Chakra Way Meditation Podcast, for nearly 2 years. Her passion lies in sharing the tools for understanding the energetic body and helping people understand the potential, the healing, and the growth that is within there. On Rosanne's website, chakraway.com, chakra-way.com, she offers chakra readings, which gives a detailed analysis of your energy balance and solutions and ideas to find balance. She also developed a truly transformative course that brings together mind, body, and spirit with the deep knowledge of the chakras, integration through yoga practice, and absorption of these through meditations. Good morning, Rosanne.
Hello, Jill. What a gorgeous, it was very nice introduction. Thank you. It's good to hear that bio back. I haven't heard that for a while.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes, whoa, that really is me.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, we all need to know that from time to time. Rosanne has a lovely voice for podcasts. It's nice and deep and rich, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with her. Tell us a little bit, how'd you get into yoga? Who are you? Just kind of put it in your words.
Oh, wow. Lovely invitation. Let's start with my yoga journey, because that's where it all began for me. And I suppose that, like a lot of people at school, you know, you're encouraged, nay, forced to partake in team sports and throwing hard balls at each other. And it was never for me. I'm tall and lanky and I couldn't even run. So sport and exercise was always the thing that I kind of did not want to do. It was something that wasn't good for, didn't sort of resonate with me at the time, what it was presented with. And so I hit my early 20s and I picked up a book, and it was called Teach Yourself Yoga. It was a very basic book in that it was quite sort of 80s, I suppose. There was a girl in a very sort of bright pink sort of leotard, with leggings underneath. It was very not really, didn't look very sort of traditional, but what was within it was very traditional. And I read this book and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is my thing. I need to find a yoga class immediately. And I was living in London at the time, so I looked up where you could find a yoga class, and I found one, and I walked in to this class, which was run by this wonderful lady. I was in my early 20s, so she seemed ancient to me. She was probably in her 60s, but you know what it's like, the foolishness of the youth. And she was a German lady called Ina Kruger, and she had been one of Mr. Iyengar's primary students. So when Mr. Iyengar, who is the sort of the guru, if you like, of my school of yoga, he came over to the UK and he started teaching this group of people, and she was one of them. Anyway, I was hooked instantly. I could do it. It felt right. And that just started my journey. I ended up working at the Iyengar Yoga Institute in London, which was one of the first purpose-built yoga studios in the country. And that was, probably nearly 30 years ago now. And then it was always a passion. It just was the right thing for me. And I think that's why I'm really passionate about sharing what I love, because I also appreciate that what I love, not everybody else is going to love by a very long shot.
That's true.
everybody needs to find their thing that lights them up. And it happened to be that for me, it was the yoga. And then that led me on to, because when you start doing yoga, it's just the physical practice. You know, you're doing the postures, the poses, and you're breathing and you're finding quiet in a meditative state. But what's not necessarily always taught, or wasn't when I was initially taught, was that there was this wonderful spiritual undercurrent that isn't overt, that isn't necessarily, it certainly wasn't at that time being sort of rammed down your throat. You just go to yoga class feeling however you were feeling after a day's work, what have you, and come out walking on air, just feeling calm, feeling at peace, feeling at ease within your body. And it took me a long while to realize that actually the yoga was doing more for me than just relaxing my body. It was becoming, it was very important to my state of mind as well as the health of my body. And then it began to, you begin to read and do research. And then I did my teacher training, and you realize that these things are inextricably linked. The health of your body, the health of your mind, and vice versa, the health of your mind and it impacts the health of your body. When you realize that we're not just a brain sitting on top of a meat suit that just does what we ask it to do, that in fact our thoughts, our mind, our state of mind has a profound effect on the health of your body and how you feel within your body. And also how, the state of your body can affect the state of your mind. So this kind of beautiful circular sort of flow of energy and information that we have within us is something that then led me on to understanding and researching the chakra system. And I know, because I listened to your podcast of a couple of weeks ago when you had that lovely lady on who was talking about the chakras. So I know that I don't need to go into great detail about the chakra system because you got that covered. That was lovely.
Thank you.
But there's, for me, then that brings in for me, that's the kind of the final big chunky element. We all love a trinity, a pyramid, a triangle, and the 3 points of mind, body, and spirit are very much answered by these 3 things that I now focus on. So for the body, obviously it's yoga. For the mind, it's the learning, it's the understanding, it's gaining that awareness of the chakras of your energetic body. And then for the spirit, it's that meditation. It's the meditative side of life that is just so such an important part of those 3 things, that trinity. So that's been my journey. And I started obviously teaching yoga. A lot of people, it's interesting, I talk to a lot of people who also work with the chakras, and they're like, they start learning the chakras and then that leads them to yoga or leads them to meditation. And for me, I came at it a different way. But then that led me during lockdown to create this course that I do, the Chakra Way course, which is a massive, big, beautiful journey about learning, deep diving into the chakras, but supporting that through yoga practice, supporting that through meditation, and, just throwing everything at it, because when you're talking about the chakras, there's so many different ways that you can approach it. So some people like collecting crystals and, semi-precious, gems and so on that represent and hold energy. And some people, those are really precious. Other people, that doesn't interest them at all. Some people are into astrology, or some people are into just the physical side of it, the yoga practice, the actual connection with the body. There's so many different ways, even just color or animals or food. Food's a beautiful way to explore energetic body, because you can relate a food type to each chakra. So if you're wanting to work on a particular chakra, you can go, right, I'm going to eat for my heart chakra. So you're going to eat lots of beautiful leafy green things and things that make you happy. So I like to just incorporate as much as I can. So everybody's got something they go, oh, that thing, that's the thing that I feel passionately about, or that feels like it lights me up. And then they have that personal connection, because that's what's required. You need to have that kind of like thing that sits very sort of that just kind of lands like a round peg into a round slot. It just sits there and you just go, that's satisfying. It feels right. It feels like home. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah. So
Wow.
my big journey.
Yeah, you're going terrific. You said so many things that kind of like, oh, I could go this way. Oh, I could go that way. And you're right. We all come about it in our own direction. I went the spiritual route first, and then I went the mind body together, and the mind and the body. I worked with EMDR therapist and a network chiropractor, and we'd loosen up something in the therapy and then we'd tweak it in the body. And it was, a really an interactive, and I had the appointments back to back so that they really worked. And, you're talking about the food and the color. I am very color. I want as much color as I possibly can, brighter the better. And I also am extremely tactile. And it's really fun if you eat the rainbow. It's just, that just lights me up. It makes me happy just to think about it. And you're right. If there's a certain area that needs work, oh, today I get to eat red, and it's fun. And maybe it brings out the elementary teacher in me, but you're right. And the elementary teacher in me went kudos as you were talking, because as a teacher, I may have my special ways of learning, but I know my students might have different ways than I do. And I still have to present them. Even if it comes more difficultly to me, I do the best I can so that they're getting what they need. And to do that in your element, it is really wonderful. And, I've had different yoga people on here. I've had some chakra people on here, but what it's nice to say is, okay, what's your version? What does it mean to you? And to really put the chakras and the yogas together, and it's exciting. How would you explain the energetic body to somebody who said, what was that she was talking about?
Oh, the energetic body. Okay. Well, I think probably the easiest way to explain it is oh my goodness. See, when you say that, I'm so tempted to go down the route of quantum physics, because that's a part of this whole thing that really excites me. But let's leave that to one side for the moment. Other than to say, I think that most people can grasp the fact that everything is energy. Every cell, every atom contains energy. Even if it's an inert looking piece of metal or wood, everything has energy within it, because each atom has space, it has things within it that are moving, however slowly, but they are, in an infinitesimally small way. And this excites me hugely. But let's go back to the bigger umbrella idea that everything is energy. So everything, and we know that ourselves, we are energetic beings. And there is things that within us that we all have in common that I think can be put down, the human experience. But when I'm explaining the chakras to somebody who has no idea what the chakras are, I like to explain it in this way. And I say, okay, so everybody on this planet has 7 things in common, which are the chakras. So from the base, your root chakra, this represents your family. So everybody came from somewhere. Everybody has a family. And if you don't, even if you're not in touch with it, you have that experience of being born. Okay, so we all came from somewhere, we all have family, we all have a tribe of some sort, okay? And we want to belong to that tribe, whether it's your biological family or your group of friends or your church or whatever it is. You have a tribe that you feel the need to belong to. Everybody has that in common. The second chakra, the sacral, in the hips, this is where we have our creativity. We hold all our creativity, we all hold our emotions. Now, everybody on the planet has some level of creativity, even if it's just in that this is the place in which we are creative, as in creating life. Yes.
Right.
So, and we all experience emotions. You know, we all hold emotions. We all have feelings that come up. This is something that we all have in common, whatever language, wherever you live, whatever yeah. The next place is the solar plexus. So just underneath the breastbone. And this is our place in the world. This holds our sense of self, our sense of who we are and where we fit in the world. Now, everybody wants a place in the world. They want to be seen. They want to be, everyone wants to feel like they fit in somewhere. You need to have that sense of self, that sense of identity, to know who you are. That's going to, and I think everybody has that sense. The next one is the heart, as we're going up. The heart, and this, of course, is all about love. And it's not only being able to give love, but to receive love. It's about empathy, compassion, forgiveness. And I mean, what's more universal than love? Everything is love, but love on a sort of with a small L, I suppose, in terms of our lives, we all need love. Even if it's just our cat or our dog or, we all love something. We need to have love in our lives, and passion and friendship. And this is such a key human experience. These are all elements that live within our energetic body, physically within us. Then we have the throat chakra. And this represents our ability to communicate, to express ourselves. And we all want to be heard. We all want to be able to be heard and to communicate whatever it is we need to communicate, whether it's our feelings or our needs. We need to be able to communicate in some way, shape or form, and listening, talking, communicating. Then we have our third eye. This is our intuition, and I think everybody on the planet has some sense of intuition, that inner knowing. But we want to have that sense of knowing ourselves, that sense of being at peace with ourselves and knowing who we are, being able to discern between the voices that is just the chattery monkey voice that tells you rubbish that somebody else has once said 15 million years ago, and it's just stuck in your brain. As we can tell the difference between that and our higher self, our true self, our authentic self. Yeah. Then the last chakra is the crown chakra, and this is our place of connection. Now, connection to the wider world. This is our beautiful connection to the rest of the planet, to being a little speck of dust in the universe, floating, around a ball of fire. This is our connection with God, with our sense of our systems of belief. And it's a sort of a deeper, wider connection that I think history is very obviously can show us that, this is something that has been key to humanity ever since the very year dot. Ritual, worship has always been at the heart of the human experience. And so all of these are just the 7 main chakras that is the commonly talked about. These are not only held, so parts of our lives, which we all have in common, but they relate to parts of our body, to parts of our endocrine system, so our hormonal system as well. And so all of this life experience, this body, living in this body experience, represents the energetic body, or the subtle body, some people call it. But it's that behind the muscle, beyond just the bones and the veins, what we are made of are all of these things, and we can give them location within our bodies due to this beautiful system of the chakras. So that is, I hope that's a good
Oh,
explanation for you.
that's a wonderful explanation. And as I was listening to you, and I was thinking in my body where each one of those chakras are, and I guess she's just explaining all of life, all the parts of our being, and that's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, that's
like,
what the chakra system does. It just gives you a beautiful roadmap through which you can carry with you through life. And every so often, you kind of forget that you've got this magical map in your back pocket, and you go, oh, hang on a minute. Let me just take a moment here. Let me just check in with myself. Where am I feeling this emotion? Where am I holding my tension? Why have I got chronic digestive issues, for example? Why is it that there's always one part of my body that's tripping me up? And then you can go, okay, so this is sense of self. This is my power. Maybe it's to do, in the classic, this is a classic with the solar plexus chakra, which is that sense of self,
absolutely.
is when people are working too hard. The work world and this Western world that we live in, oh my goodness, this modern Western world, it puts so much pressure on us in terms of the work life balance. But, work gives us so much pressure. And guess what? People get, digestive issues, irritable bowel and ulcer, colitis and ulcers. And, and these are all just energetic manifestations of an energetic issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were going through them, and you were up to the third eye, and you were talking about, being that it also is, it's using its intuition on you, that it's seeing you, and it's just like, I never thought of it that way. That's a different twist, and I love learning new little things. So thank
Yeah.
you for
I
that.
mean, intuition is one of those beautiful things that is outward, but it's also inward. It's like, sort of people think, oh, clairvoyance, because it's that clear seeing. It's to do with your eyes and your vision and your imagination and all of those sort of things. And people often think about their intuition as just, oh, I get a hunch about something, or I get a feeling. But we use our intuition on a daily basis. So, for example, say you were to go into a supermarket in a different brand that you're not used to, in a city you're not used to. You go into a brand new supermarket, you're on holiday. But your intuition, and this is a daft example, but it's true. Your intuition will tell you, okay, you kind of take a scope out of where everything is, and you'll go, okay, I'm looking for sugar. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be in that kind of area with those kind of things. This is a very basic example, but sort of learned intuition is something that we take for granted on a daily basis. But once you start going, yeah, actually, I can see that, then you can start applying it in bigger and more fundamental ways than just finding your way to the eggs when you're on holiday somewhere new.
Yeah. I even do it like if I'm going out to dinner, and decision making when I'm tired, and it doesn't work so good. But I've learned how to work with decision, and sometimes just something will intuitively come to mind. I know the restaurant or the type of restaurant, so I have a feeling of what kind of things are there. But it's so much easier than making up my mind as, oh, today I feel like steak. I want seafood today, or a salad would be nice. And maybe that's a weird way, but it works for me. I get a chance to heighten my intuitive abilities. So, in
Yeah.
practicing it. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, we use all of these qualities that we have, within each of the energy centers. We use them on a daily basis without even thinking about it.
yeah.
But what's lovely is that when you do start growing that awareness and you start to think about it, then those powers, those superpowers that we all have, can begin to grow, and you can begin to feel more confident in them. As you're aware of them working and serving you, you can then go, okay, actually, I've got pretty good, I've got this. I have faith in myself, and that's learning to trust yourself. And
Right.
that's a beautiful thing to have, that trust
Oh,
in
that
yourself.
is. And like with anything, the more you use it, the more opportunities you see, and the more honed the ability becomes.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
When I was reading over your bio, I noticed the term self-healing. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, pretty much I've already kind of alluded to it in a lot of ways, because having that awareness and that understanding. So if you, let's think of an example to make it more practical. So, for example, one of the most common blockages that we have, and especially as women, sadly, because historical, whatever, blockages is in the throat chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So, women had their voices, taken. We didn't have a voice for quite some years. We're talking ancestrally here, and still battles go on. But the classic thing here is that people not able to express themselves, not able to share their emotions, or too afraid to speak their truth or something along those lines. So this can manifest in lots of different ways. And I think things like thyroid issues are big. And sadly, the vast majority of people who suffer with thyroid issues are women. But that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother wormhole we could go down. So say you are aware that every time you're in a certain situation, for example, say you're having difficulty with a partner or a colleague or whatever, and you find that whilst your brain is thinking all the things you want to say, it just is not coming out of your mouth, that you're tense, you're maybe even grinding your teeth, like you've got this kind of, so there's a growing issue around this energy center that you can recognize because you have given yourself a moment to stop and think about it and have that awareness. So once you've kind of had this realization, right, I've got a real kind of blockage with the energy in my throat and my ability to connect with my truth and connect with communicating with other people. What can I do? Okay, so then we start, what can I do in the safety and comfort and inexpensiveness of just being at home? What can I do that is going to start to open it? So there are breathing exercises that you can do. There are yoga poses that will open the throat, that will release the jaw. There are other exercises. So if you're finding it difficult communicating, journaling, writing it down, but for the throat chakra, one of the biggest things that you can do is sing. Quite often, because I do these chakra readings where I can do a full, really detailed analysis and reading of somebody's energy centers, I often find that the throat chakra is one that is commonly has imbalances and blockages. And my first prescription to everybody is sing. Sing in the shower, in the car, wherever your inhibitions are free, and you can just let loose. And I remember I had one client who had a big blockage in the throat chakra, and I said, do you ever sing? And she goes, God, no, I sound awful. Absolutely never. And I'm like, what, even if you're, at a wedding in church or something? She goes, no, I just mouth along. I never sing. And I'm like, okay, well, this is big. We need to get you singing. You need to open up that energy center. And it can be as simple as that. And she took a car journey for 3 hours, and she sang she put on an old record, music that she knew really well. And she sang for 3 hours, and then she got home, and the next thing I had the call going, oh my God, I've just said everything that sort of opened her up almost too much, but it freed her to begin to express what she needed to say. And I think so many of us go through lives not, guarding, I can't possibly say that, or I shouldn't say that, and how's that going to be received? We guard against that. But that's finding that sweet spot, finding that balance where we are not denuding ourselves and denying ourselves our a truth and what we want to say, well, it's not necessarily offending other people. We all know where that line is. So those are the kind of things, when I talk about self-healing, there are 1,000,001 tools that you have that you don't need to go out and spend money on, that are within you. One of the things I always say is that everything that you need, you have within you. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's just about learning what those things are.
Wow. As you were talking about the throat chakra and you were using the words like allow and deny, and I think about the time I'm kind of techie, the geeky grandma. What can I say? But I see that little box at the top of the screen where it's asking, "Can we find your address or no?" And you write allow or deny, and we get to push the button. And sometimes it takes a lot of work to push that allow button, but we really can do it. And
yeah,
so
we can. And it's all about finding the way that feels natural and right for you. Because my way is not everybody's way. I know that it works, and I know that a lot of people find it really beneficial. But it's allowing yourself to not go, oh, well, I heard that lady, but I don't think that's really for me. No, there is some form of it that is for you. Just search it out. Find a book, go to your library, find a book, and just, if it resonates, just absorb it. And if you want to go deeper, then call me.
I hear you. And I think I've saved my favorite for last. I absolutely fell in love with your podcasts and all the guided meditations. And, when people apply to be on your podcast, you get the series of links and you check it out. And I checked out this lady's, and I have to admit, I started downloading episode after episode because I love guided meditations, and hers were so terrific. So tell us the name of your podcast and describe what goes on there, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The podcast has the very catchy name of the Chakra Way Meditation Podcast. My business is the Chakra Way because I like to do things the Chakra Way, and the Chakra Way sounds like a journey, and it just kind of worked for me on lots of levels. And in it, on a weekly basis, I release a guided meditation, which is, 10, 15 minutes long. And there is a back catalogue of about over 100. I think I'm close to 120 meditations now.
Wow.
And they're all different ones. So there's something there's some for kids, which actually are the really popular ones. There's ones if you need them to help you go to sleep. There's ones if you want to energize. There's grounding. There's chakra ones. There's energy ones. There's energy clearing. I don't know how I dream them up, honestly. I feel like every week an angel just kind of comes in and drops it in my head. And so I record these podcasts. The meditations go out weekly, and then every other week I drop an extra, a little sort of like a bonus, which is a conversation. And those are about sort of 45-minute long conversations with people that I find really interesting or inspiring. And they're all around, healers and life coaches and, numerology and quantum numbers, and it's all sorts of woo-woo, wonderful, fascinating, lovely stuff that I adore. So I have conversations with brilliant people as well. So there's something there for everybody, I think. Yeah. And I think a lot of people probably never get to the end. I think a lot of people just drift off to my voice at night time, which is fine. And that's that's lovely as well.
It is, your voice is lovely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any last words you want to leave with the audience if somebody was just thinking maybe I'll step a toe in the water that direction? Could you say something to give them a little encouraging nudge?
Oh, yes. Really follow your instincts, follow your nose, trust yourself. That if you're interested in this stuff, that the right thing is going to land in front of you. And it may be that you meet somebody who goes, oh, I've got a lovely yoga teacher, or oh, I go to this nice meditation class, or oh, I read this amazing book. Like, just dip your toe in, just keep your eyes open and don't deny the signs. I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything is a sign. And if it lands, if it hits you in your heart and you think, yeah, that sounds and feels right and true to me, then just follow it. And whether it's you end up going to the yoga route or you want to go deep into the chakras, whichever direction you want to go in, trust that it's the right one for you. I think that would be my main advice. Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, I'm going to thank you. Thank you for being my guest, and thank you for sharing your lovely knowledge. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye.
See you in the funny papers. Bye-bye for now.